From Koreatown, Los Angeles, thank you for tuning in to Ktown Social Club. This is where all the world gathers to talk about the issues that you really care about. The only show you'll find that offers perspectives from the far left to the far right.
Wait,
remember to like remember to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell.
Far right either.
Follow
Okay. No.
Follow us on Instagram at Ktown Social Club. I'm Michael Kim, joined by Michael Wan, Ed Choi, and today Douglas Kim returns. Welcome back from New York.
New York.
Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on Ktown Social Club. So welcome back. How was it in New York?
The first week was pretty humid, so it was pretty hot. I mean, it was in the 90s, which doesn't sound that bad, but
but
90s plus
80
humidity.
plus, yeah, 80% humidity.
So
terrible.
it's like Korea, I would think.
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Korea,
So it's
right?
similar, kind of like because Manhattan is literally on an island, right? So it's.
Do you consider yourself more of a New Yorker than a Angelino?
I mean, just I guess based on how I grew up, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
But there's.
But I mean, you choose to live in one of those places, so I feel like that says a lot.
Well, a lot of that has to do with my very cheap rent right now. My rent controlled apartment.
That's one of the main reasons why you're not moving out, right?
Yeah, that and like New York itself. I don't know if you've seen the prices there these days.
It's crazy,
but,
right? Crazier than here.
Yeah, like Chipotle, for example, a burrito is like $20.
What?
You know,
Really?
if you moved to the Philippines, your rent would be even cheaper.
Yeah,
Philippines.
Or Vietnam, based socialist
I heard
country.
that Vietnam is really a great place to live now. I mean, according to some of my friends.
You were just in Ho Chi Minh City, right? Not
2
in
years
Hanoi.
ago. Both Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi 2 years ago.
And you flew from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi, right? Or you probably started in Hanoi.
I landed in Hanoi the first day and then flew there to Ho Chi Minh City.
So you didn't go to any other major cities?
No, not in Vietnam.
Which one did you like better, Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City?
I mean, I guess if I were to live, I'd probably prefer Ho Chi Minh City. But like Hanoi, obviously for the historical.
Hanoi is like Pyongyang. Ho Chi Minh City is like Seoul. So you prefer Seoul?
Because it's a little bit more a city.
It's
He's
more-
a
it's
city.
got
He's
more-
a city boy. What can
yeah.
It's got more of a youthful, commercial
Right.
atmosphere.
and cheap. Everything's kind of like much cheaper than here, right?
Yeah,
The price wise.
but that's obviously Hanoi as well. But Hanoi is more, I felt like the revolutionary kind of like energy too, though. And there is commercial activity that's happening in Hanoi now.
We see
It
lots.
was like a big Korean community.
Yeah, you see lots of Ho Chi Minh busts and statues and communist flags, and it must be nice to see that when you're just walking around.
Yeah,
Communist
it is.
flags everywhere, red flags.
It is.
Young
it's just kind of like
pioneers.
people proud of their heritage and their, governmental backgrounds and not,
What do you think of the Vietnamese here who fly the yellow flag with the red stripes on it?
the Viet Adidas.
That's what it's called.
The Adidas
That's what he
Viets.
calls it.
That's what I call them. Yeah, I call them the Adidas Viets.
Yellow
So
flag.
it was better than expected. Your
Oh, you
visit
call it the
to,
Adidas flag.
The Adidas
Vietnam.
Viets. What?
It was better than expected when you went to Vietnam.
I mean, I didn't
enjoyed it.
know even what to expect, so I had no expectations.
But you wanted
I
to
guess.
go to a communist nation.
Yeah,
to
I guess I
check
wanted
it
to
out.
see what it was like. Obviously, like knowing Ho Chi Minh and really, knowing his
Right.
journey, it was very. It's like a pilgrimage. You kind of want to see, what your heroes kind of.
Talk about humid, though. I hear Vietnam's
yeah,
like
it's-
crazy humid. Like literally, the walls are sweating. Everything is
There's a reason they
wet.
call it, fighting in the jungle, right?
Fighting,
Vietnam
yeah,
War.
yeah.
It's
Fair.
It's, I mean, even more humid was Singapore when it's like a little further south.
Really?
Yeah, like
At the tip of Malaysia, right?
I remember being very thankful they had AC in the,
Oh, okay.
in the subway.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
it's so sweltering
I
there.
hate humidity. I
And,
melt.
and they speak in English. Many of
Singapore,
them?
yes. Singapore mostly.
How about Vietnam? Yeah, I know Singapore.
Vietnam? Not
Not
really.
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 China, not really.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more. in
So
Ho
it
Chi
must
Minh
have been
City, but,
uncomfortable
like,
language-wise for you.
Well, you had Google Translate, just be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Very accurate. From what I hear.
So you're happy to be back in LA?
I mean, that was 2 years ago. I mean, I'm.
No,
No,
from
from
New
New
York.
York.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I guess
You're
so.
happy to be back with us.
I mean, yes and no.
Jeez. Tell us how you really feel, Doug.
Well, what's
I
the
mean,
list?
like,
Yeah,
New York's,
Douglas is really
it's
just,
got my
no
family,
filter
you
dog,
know?
we call him.
Okay, that's fair. That's
yeah.
fair. Yeah, that's fair.
About the tweet, right?
We made it
I
about
mean,
ourselves.
huh? What? The tweet, one of the tweets.
What did I tweet?
No, I think you didn't. No, we didn't show the full context of.
Oh, I mean,
Oh,
that's not
wow.
related to. New
Yeah,
York.
no, he was saying that because New York has his family comparatively to here,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
it's not
okay.
as. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, California, weather-wise, isn't it the best place in the world?
I mean, yeah, but
I mean, Mediterranean, right?
Yeah.
Global warming is bringing a little bit of humidity here, but it's
Anyway, it is,
comparatively,
little
it's
bit,
nothing.
yeah.
You know, Doug, since you left, we recorded a bunch of shows without you. I mean, we
I've seen them.
Do you watch all our episodes now?
Fair amount. You know, I play them at
That's a
1.5
yes.
speed.
Because
so
Douglas
to get
puts,
through them.
he also puts it on his own feed. He captures,
Yeah.
he records
Yeah.
some of them, right?
Yeah, so I guess I get like listen to the whole thing at like 1.5.
Or you put it at
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, just, speed things up.
Wow,
and then,
you missed
like,
4 episodes with us. I just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
that's-
right.
Actually, this is the first time I saw him after I went to
Oh, you
Canada.
Oh, yeah, it's been
For
like
like
almost
3
a month
weeks.
for
yeah,
you guys.
So that's what,
yeah,
So
yeah.
he told me, hey, how was Canada? And for me, it's like long time
So long ago.
It's like, okay, Canada was good. I showed him some photos.
Did you like our recent episodes? We talked about don't fear China, fear Israel instead. We also talked about whether Koreans
That's
should
fine.
support Trump or Biden. Were they entertaining?
yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I mean, what do you want to say? This is a show that I'm
Yeah,
on.
post-debate,
No,
we
the
talked
show
over the phone.
sucked.
Post debate, and he was laughing, right? Right after the presidential election.
Oh,
like,
I
you know,
already
to
knew it was
say,
going to be
you know,
a fucking
yeah, he's like-
entertainment.
Well, you guys were talking on the phone?
over the phone about the post debate a little bit.
The debate.
Oh, you guys got some thing going on, huh?
A little bromance.
No, it was just I just
a little
just
bromance
debate.
over here.
So
No,
they're all
it was
arguing
texting.
and fighting, and yet they
it's
still.
all fake.
because you wanted
It's all fake. It's for show.
No,
What
need
is
those.
real?
We need those
How do
spikes, right?
How do we know it's real? The conspiracy. Conspiracy.
Anyway,
But it was entertaining.
Yeah.
The debates were definitely entertaining.
It was
yeah,
right.
We also got our most popular. You know, we're not gonna get too deep into it, but our most popular video now is the Thailand
Yeah.
cancel South Korea video. We got 16,000 views on that,
Yes.
and over 500 comments.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we get more videos that really.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
angering the Southeast Asian population is not a smart idea because
Or perhaps it is a smart
They
idea
are
because then you get videos that hit
very
16K.
they are
Probably
very
would have gotten
supportive, very supportive people.
Or
Very supportive.
maybe it's good for
people.
engagement.
Yeah, Michael,
No,
you
that's
chose,
called rage
the
baiting.
right topic at
Hey,
the right time. You know,
If it works.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people had a lot of opinion about South Koreans too, as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Fair.
I mean, we brought up that topic because we as Koreans, I mean, for me, I felt like, yeah, it gives us a bad look, so we shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
But some of the comments back, I felt, I understood most of them. I agreed, like, maybe some of them crossed the line a bit.
I mean, like when you talk generally, though, I feel
Yeah.
like that's gonna happen, you know. But like, I think it is important for people who are Korean to talk about how that's not okay.
yeah, and I do
That's
want to
important.
say though, just in case, I'm not saying all Koreans are racist because obviously we're Korean too. We're not.
No.
I don't think we're like that. And we were kind of just calling some stuff out, saying we can do better. And but yeah, I don't think all Koreans are like this, or even I don't think even most. I think most people would just shut up and keep it to themselves, even if they don't like it.
I think it's like one of those things, like even with politics, sometimes the small percentage just happens to be the loudest. And we don't know if that's true either, but the percentage wise is
But
in Koreans.
I did find out in the news that there's a reason why some Koreans don't like Thai people, and I guess it is because a lot of the I guess is there some visa-free program with Thailand, I guess? Do you know about this, Michael?
Oh, is it?
I guess Thais
does it
can go
lead
to Korea without a visa.
Oh.
And then I guess a lot of people would go there. Some Thais will go there to work illegally or engage in prostitution or whatever, and maybe that kind of gives them a negative image. But also, a lot of Thais also get pissed off saying, well, if it's visa free, how come so many of us get rejected? So just take it away, or I don't know. So yeah, it wasn't as
Stereotypes are bad.
Yeah, it wasn't as just like, oh, they just hate the gay thing. Maybe there was already some anger already existing over,
Yeah, the gay thing is, in my opinion, a red herring. It's
see.
just something for them to justify their anti-Korean attitudes, in my opinion.
Many are pro-Korean though, right? With the dramas and stuff, but maybe
That's
they
what I
be-
mean. They're very supportive people, So it's like very dumb to.
I would say there must be some conflicted point of views. Like even in China, right? First, initially they were very, very welcoming of K-drama and K-pop, but I heard that it's not the case anymore. Even within China, there's some anti-K-pop.
Well, that's a
and
different sort of
K-drama.
that's a different sort of
dynamic.
dynamic and
Okay.
political alignment.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because,
but-
I think.
But I would say probably in Thailand, there's a lot of those supporters, like you said, you get a lot of their views
Yeah,
as well. But
yeah.
probably some of them probably don't like Korea too. Also,
Yeah, so I mean, anyway, yeah. So I don't know what the, yeah.
And, do you think?
I don't want
Okay,
to say anything wrong.
so do you think Korea is considered a developed country now, GDP wise? So everything is it's a capitalist country, and do you think there could be like a negative side about it? When you compare to other nations, you check out their GDP. Are they like a developed nation? If there's, I think for instance, I think some Koreans see other nations who doesn't have as much high as South Korea's level of GDP.
Sure.
So there are a portion of Koreans who kind of look down on.
Yeah. I
those
mean,
nations. I think
it's
that
elitist.
is,
Well, I mean, even
for sure.
Americans would look down on other nations. That,
probably,
Yeah.
But because I was having lunch over there in the kitchen, and they were talking about some Koreans facing racism in like France. Like,
Yeah.
if they want to go to, if they go to like a fancy restaurant, they don't even take your order. I heard that those things go on, and some YouTubers have been complaining.
Well,
about
there
that.
was one viral video in France, some wine guy. He was in France at a restaurant, and then they were very rude to him, but he spoke French, and I guess eventually he won over that server. But yeah, I hear a lot of stuff about France, and
Yeah. And it's not even just towards Asian people. They hate Americans too.
Yeah. I wonder whether, like, among communist countries, probably you two might know better about whether that is the case. They compare their, they look down on some portion of the people, kind of look down on other people who are not well off, who are considered like a poor nation.
I mean, in
or
communist countries, that's obviously not
Not the
approved of,
case,
but
right?
especially by the government, right? Because, like you said, remember when they had those TikTok video influencers of people showing off incredible wealth? They actually banned those.
Oh, yeah,
because
you're
it was
right,
like
you're right. Yeah, they did
don't-
that.
Yeah, it's like almost kind of like the opposite, where they're.
But that's a recent thing, right? Was that coming?
I
for,
think
like,
it's just like, I mean, it in itself was a recent thing,
Okay.
but it's just kind of like, I think in general, communist countries, obviously they don't promote classism and racism and whatever, because that's antithetical to their ideology. That's actually one of the reasons, or primary reasons, the Nazis hated the Soviet Union, because they were like, hey, they're talking about equality, whatever. No, there has to be a distinct racial hierarchy. That's what rules the world and the planet. And communism is obviously antithetical to any of those notions, and so they.
And you had some objections of some of the comments too, right? About our.
I mean, I
video
don't read
clips.
the comments, but
Some of the Thailand people. You wouldn't
Yeah.
want to mention it. Oh, okay.
I mean, it's
Usually,
just. It's just like everything comes down to. I think we're framing it in the wrong way. I think we're framing it in a very white way, in my opinion, of like when we say stuff like, "Oh, South Korea's racist," or "it's colorist," or whatever. These are very
That-
white and Western.
that narrative in itself, you're saying it's
these
very
are very
westernized.
Western concepts that are being imputed, I think, by the Western left onto Korea in a way of a method of control and controlling the narrative. All of this doesn't really examine the geopolitical kind of like climate, especially of Thailand, and especially with Thailand with respect to the rest of Asia. A lot of people don't really know this, but Thailand wasn't really formally colonized by the West or by Japan. And a lot of the reason why is because it cooperated with a lot of these countries, especially with England and France, to colonize Burma or to colonize Vietnam and all these other places, they kind of gave the go-ahead as long as they kind of like retained their autonomy and like, got a little kickback themselves. The same thing happened during World War II, where Japan kind of like was like, hey, you either join us or, we're going to fuck you up. And Thailand was like, okay, yeah, sure. We'll join and we'll take a little bit of territory from Vietnam and all these other neighboring countries in return. And Thailand never got, Thailand was essentially the Italy of Asia during World War II. And they never got any sort of blowback from that. And then on and on it goes during the Cold War. Where did 80% of the sorties from Vietnam take off? They came off from Thailand. Thailand was the base of SEATO, which was the Southeast Asian version of NATO. And so Thai people can talk all they want about racism and oppression or whatever, but they were helping out the colonizers this entire time for the past 200 years.
One of the comments to that video that got a lot of likes said, let's face it, Japan is better than Korea.
Oh, really?
Like, that was crazy to me. Like, with Japan's history and all. But
That's
anyway.
what I'm saying. They fucking aided Japan. They were their allies.
Right. But, there were also a lot of comments from Filipinos, like Filipinos who said that, yeah, Koreans are shit and all this.
Probably they're not talking about the historical context.
Yeah,
Probably
they're
just talking about the current
yeah,
state of
pop culture.
the people.
Yeah.
I do think...
Because all these places, they base their self-worth on white validation at the end of the day. When they talk about entertainment, when they talk about K-pop, when they talk about, Thai culture or Filipino culture, it's all about in relation to how much, American society and therefore white people validate them. All their fucking, Filipino like beauty pageants, they're all like glorifying whiteness. Let's not fucking sugarcoat it. Let's like and
Yeah, but that was like a
same fucking
learned
thing.
thing.
Their skin color stuff, it's all super white. Like everything they're talking about colorism, they're projecting their own insecurities onto our people.
Yeah, but that happened because
those
of
insecurities
colonialism.
happened because they want to ingratiate themselves even more into America. They want to look cool to Americans. That is the source of their. It's all fucking narcissistic. Like, oh, look at me. I'm not being appreciated as much as Korean people are by the white people. So I gotta bring them down a notch.
You mean when they said? Well, I think one of the comments said we had more Miss Universe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Philippines.
That's the way their mentality is. They are the ones that are mentally colonized because they were literally colonized by America for 40, 50 years.
So South Korea is also a U.S. colony,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
So
these
all
are
of this
just-
is like a circle jerk of who gets the most white approval.
Yeah, but isn't that really just like a, like a symptom of white supremacy then from the colonialization? Because like even I remember like even as a child when I was like 7.
Sure, but that the onus of whatever happens isn't on Korean people to check their privilege or whatever. It's just fucking
but
Yeah, but if Korean
garbage
people
nonsense.
if there are some in Korea or some beliefs by some Koreans who do push white supremacy or white supremacist values, like for instance, like when I was 7, my first girlfriend, she was Korean, but she was dark. And I remember even the adults at church, because it was a girl I met through church, like they looked down on her because she was darker than everyone else, and they would like make fun of her.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's embedded in Asian culture already. That has nothing to do with white supremacy. There's always been a classist angle to like how dark your skin is. That has nothing to do with white people coming to Korea or whatever and instilling white supremacy.
Well, not that they instilled it, but it's like then supported and backed up through pop culture and through history and colonialism.
No, because like throughout history, Koreans were pretty much considered just as like lower class as the rest of Asia until maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I think this whole argument started because of the Korean YouTuber who said that we're better class than you guys are, right? Didn't he?
Yeah,
pretty much
no,
kinda
yeah, there
say it
was
that
like a
way?
couple
And then
months
I think
ago,
this,
he said
I
that
don't
we
know
were
what that
better
exact-
looking.
Yeah,
verbatim.
that that's a single guy, whatever. He's like, an idiot or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is this whole hoopla over the visa thing you were talking about, or the idea that like South Korea is wrong for discriminating against Thai people when 80% of the criminals that are foreigners are Thai, and it's just kind of like, what, if you're a country, what's the logical, thing that you want to do to stop disorder in your country? Maybe limit the amount of Thai immigration. It's just fucking logical.
So you do acknowledge that those comments attacking Thailand for like gay marriage or whatever is wrong, but at the same time, Thai should also acknowledge that they make up a lot of the criminals and whatever.
Yeah,
in Korea.
and even if like, it's also like a cultural thing. Like in South Korea, yes, I guess there might be a lot of homophobia and all this other stuff, but that was stuff that was imprinted by the American government, right? Like with all this fundamentalist Christian like stuff with
I think it goes. No, I mean traditionally Korea was conservative before Christianity.
Sure,
that's what
but
I'm
like
saying,
this stuff, this made a systemic, like this is what the Americans say is right and wrong. So I'm gonna go along with this because these are the people that saved us from communism and
but that's hard to say
whatever.
because Korea was never accepting of the gay.
I think the
population.
gay-wise,
right.
gay,
But what
gay
I'm saying,
thing,
but what I'm
I
saying
think a
is
little
that
bit
like regardless, it's a Korean cultural thing to be homophobic or not, right? Like for us to say, "Oh, that's wrong," or that's
that's a
very
Western
point of view.
I get what you're saying.
Like a Western morality
get
point
what
of
you're
view.
saying.
For Asian people and most people in the global South, there is a stigma against homosexuality. Like it or not, that's just the way it is. For most people who are not white in this world, they have negative feelings toward homosexuality. That's just the way it is. And so for us to be like, "Oh, South Korea is so backward." Now, like, oh, now that, 30 years, 50, 70 years later, after we've, imprinted this super conservative Christianity onto them, now we're like, oh, no, you're wrong now. It's actually, the rules change and actually you're backward. So you're homophobic and racist and backward. It's just kind of like ridiculous.
So it's kind of like Russia. I think Russia also is, they condemn homosexuality. China too. So it's like,
China doesn't condemn homosexuality. They just don't want it like plastered all over the media.
You can't show like girls kissing or male kissing.
And
That's what I
in the
understand.
media, it's
I mean, that's pretty banned.
Yeah. So I think what Doug is trying to say is we're already like prejudging from the Western point of view,
Exactly.
even before we know it. Right.
Exactly.
I get it. Yeah. I think that there's a point. I do agree with.
I mean,
Doug on
I don't
that one.
agree with that. I understand where you're coming
because
from.
I'm from Korea, so I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think it's not more of just like these Western ideals. I think it's just like the idea of progression, right? Like, how can you progress as a society the way that Korea has and still be so not progressive in some ideals in regards to human rights?
I think Thailand actually. A lot of my Korean friends, their number one travel spot is Thailand. I'm telling you from, I have some travel. Yeah, in Korea. It's a super popular place to go, among Koreans. So it's very liberal. We already know that in Thailand. So I think the gay marriage thing, I don't know why that got hopped into this comment, but I think it's more of a cultural thing. Korea, I think it's a very Asian culture thing.
Again, like Japan, I said, it's
Japan, Korea,
it's
and
all
China.
a red herring anyway, because
yeah.
like the main concern, like we've already discussed, is that there is a high criminality element to Thai immigrants.
Yeah,
I
think
whatever the case may be, why that is.
Yeah, but could that be biased?
Is debatable.
Like the same reason that like there's a lot of high rate of black people getting criminalized
when
is because
you put 80% to the figure, I mean, like, how is that bias? Is that bias or is that just numbers?
Okay, so
I mean, I haven't seen those numbers, so I don't really.
Well,
know,
they were in the tweet when you guys were criticizing me, so it's interesting that you.
I don't remember that tweet.
Criticizing Doug? I don't know, Doug. We were not criticizing you. I don't think. I mean, we were just reading.
I genuinely don't.
Didn't you
remember
just read
that
his tweet? We read. I think we read your tweet.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
read your
it's been a
tweet,
long
but
time.
Anyway,
I already
but
forgot.
anyway, what is this?
But yeah.
Pro-Palestinian throwing us.
Wait. I'm just. Yeah. Okay. So. Anyway, looks like. Koreans shouldn't say those things, but Thais are criminals, right? A lot of Thais are criminals.
No, it's just.
Data-wise,
they are purposely obfuscating the argument that Koreans have against Thai immigrants.
Yeah. So you were saying it's a red herring, the whole thing.
It's like, if you notice an influx of people who are, being like drug dealers or prostitutes in your country, and they all seem to be like, well, not all, but 80% of them all seem to be coming from one place, what's your logical reaction?
Right.
I mean, it also does kind of seem like scapegoating, because if there wasn't a market for drugs and sex, then...
And that's Thailand's problem. Why is Thailand such a disarrayed country after not being colonized for so long, that their citizens have to go into prostitution and drug dealing?
Well, but like if Korea didn't accept it, then there would be no market for them to be able to go over to do that, though, is also what I'm trying to say.
Well, South Korea wants to destroy that market too. They're very anti-drug themselves.
I understand that, but if there wasn't people who were readily wanting to buy that or buy into that, I don't think it's fair to
Sure.
just...
So then, if you're the Korean government, what's your thing? Just to be like, all right, well, I guess we're not going to do anything about it and just like let drugs just increase in size here.
Yeah, okay. But regarding the gay marriage thing in Thailand, it probably would have been better for Koreans to just not comment on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on individuals commenting or whatever.
Right.
I can't like account for every single Korean citizen and be like, oh yeah, that's okay. Obviously, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that
we
like,
all agree with we all agree on that, right? That Koreans shouldn't have been talking trash about Thailand's gay marriage thing, right? At least that part.
Yeah,
Like,
Sure,
it's
I
not
don't know.
really our thing, but Doug's point is because of that, a bunch of Thais came out and were saying shit about Korea. But Doug is saying like, hey, Koreans have a reason for, having issues with Thai.
yeah, and it's not related to the gay. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It's like they're saying that it's related to this gay marriage thing, and I'm like, no, that's just like.
oh yeah, that is a
Oh,
red
they're
People
saying
trying
it's
to-
related to the gay marriage.
Yeah,
thing. I
so
they're
see.
saying
that
that
is a red
the
herring.
thrust
I mean,
of
it wasn't the
anti-Thai whatever sentiment
I
is.
think the guy, the YouTube. I mean, I don't think he was talking about gay marriage thing. I mean, necessarily that just got hopped in by. I mean, one of
That's
some
what
of
I'm
the
saying. They
commenters.
just
Someone
like
just
throw
dogpiled
in
it.
like
It wasn't
random
that much of an
garbage
issue, yeah.
to like say all this stuff about Korean people. I'm just like, no, that's
But I have to tell you, I think Korea is probably at this point probably more conservative than America regarding the
Well, yeah,
100%.
sexual.
obviously.
I mean, in a lot of
sexual
things.
because even like there were a lot of animations or movies were heavily edited, like what was the movie with
Luca?
Sharon Stone in it? Basic Instinct,
Instinct.
or all the Fatal Attraction.
Well, that was
It
in the
heavily-
90s,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what I'm saying. The Korea has that kind of
Yeah.
background.
though in the
and
past 10 years, I feel like it's a lot of that has been.
It did. That is
yeah.
true too. I mean, the past 10 years, it's like kind of like almost. It's like a huge backlash against why were we so conservative for such a long time.
Like a
So there was
pendulum
a huge,
swift,
pendulum swift. Yeah, that is going
Yeah.
on.
So anyway, Korea is, is being attacked now from all around by, these are people that may have at one point loved Korean stuff, and then
Feel betrayed.
yeah, but
Yeah, I think
one
that's
thing,
valid.
one thing that I also see being brought up even today on Reddit, and maybe even in our own comments, like when talking about the problems of Korea, is like, oh well, this is why there's the 4B movement.
Well,
thing,
Reddit
right?
is super white, so it's like 90% white.
Yeah,
I would
but
think so.
what's the 4B? No,
For
no,
me,
no, no
no
marriage,
marriage, yeah.
no sex,
Pihon,
no dating.
We
yeah.
talked about this before.
I know, but it's come up
bullshit.
again. So what do you think of that?
I mean, I already told you it's bullshit.
I don't know that it's more bullshit as it's like not a announced movement.
Or it's more
Because like if women announced that they were part of the 4B movement, they would have violence put on
but
them.
it's
in
more
Korea.
that like it's not that it's not a thing, it's more that it's not an explanation for the birth rate dropping at all.
I don't think it's the reason for it, but I think it's not going to help it at all.
Sure, I'm not saying it's going to help it, but I'm saying it is a
But, like, a lot of people-
negligible-
a
it
lot
is
of people bring up the-
super negligible.
A lot of
reason
people
for
bring up the
birth
reason
rate.
that like they don't talk about it in Korea, and I think it's for the safety. I don't think they talk about it in Korea for safety for themselves.
I mean, it's just not a thing that's has any
And
appreciable effect on birth
I
rate.
think a lot of females.
I don't know. I
have-
disagree with you.
I disagree with you then.
What do you think, Michael?
I think a lot of females have jobs now.
Like, if you-
so I think that changed the dynamic. I think back in the
Yes.
80s, I remember, our parents, only our dad used to work, but it dramatically changed in the 90s. And I think once you start working and you have a baby and stuff, it's hard to go back to the workforce. So a lot of females decide, hey, I'm not going to give up my career over family.
Yeah,
so
but that's not part of the 4B movement. That's
career-
just an economic reason.
So no, when we're talking about birth rate dropping down, I think that has had a dramatic
No, for
effect on
sure.
it.
But then when you have things like, the Burning Sun scandal and like there's this huge, essentially sex trafficking ring and people are only getting 4 years, I think that puts a lot of fear into Korean women to be like, well, I don't know who to associate with that. Because like in the Milyan case, essentially, or not even the Milyan case, the... crap, what was that other one with the
Gotta drop more hints.
with the online where they were like sending chats with the
nth room.
the nth room. Thank you. Like with the nth room, with that scandal, if you like do the number, that was like 1% of all Korean men, which means that if you're out in public, there is at least 3 to 4
What's
people.
1%? The people who watch
Yeah,
that?
people who are part of that. Like
Part
1%.
of Mbambang was 1% of the entire Korean
1%
population.
of the whole Korean male population.
Male population.
Yeah. 1%. That means that in every 100 people, there was one person who took part in that, enjoyed that.
Mbambang is...
It was a Telegram room where you paid to get access, and they were like raping girls, and
it was like secret camera, hidden camera, and they were like, buying each other and like supporting each other and keeping it a secret. So like, I think when women think about that from that issue, they tell themselves like, hey, this is like a secret movement between us. We're not really going to go around publicizing it because like these men are going to get mad. There's a history in Korea systemically where like we protect abusive men.
Sure. I'm not saying that, South Korea is this like non-misogynistic,
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I think that might be part of the reason why it's not so
what I'm
publicized
saying
in
is that
Korea.
like when Westerners talk about South Korea's birth rate and overemphasize this, they're doing it for a reason to demonize South Korean men or Asian men in general.
I
as
haven't
being
seen too many
uniquely
people
misogynist.
connecting the two.
No, it's trust me, especially in the Western context. They are using it to specifically say, look at these Asian men. They're so misogynist. They can't even I
think that's like a small few because even in the videos that I made, I have not seen comments like that
It
at
is
all.
not a small few.
So you think the Western media is trying to change Koreans' culture and fabric, right? That's what you're trying.
They are trying to
they
change
always
the
have that
perception
kind of,
of Korean men.
They sprinkle
because
that kind of
in
message,
the past
right?
10 years, there's been a lot of I guess positive, propaganda about Asian men in general because like Korean men now are like suave and like whatever, like in the media or whatever. And so I think as a way to counteract that, I think Western media is purposely trying to amplify stuff like 4B and be like, see, those Asian men, they're just as misogynist as us.
Yeah, so I grew up in South Korea, so I completely see the point of view of what Doug is saying. You know, I think when I see those kind of articles that bash South Korea specifically, I think these days, it comes out a lot.
Because like if they were honest about it, then where are all the articles about Japan? Because Japan is like 10 times worse than fucking South Korea.
Yeah, but they never covered.
They never talked
but
about
that's
that
what I'm
shit.
saying. That stuff has come out a little bit too. Not in the media. I'm mostly focusing on like what people are sharing on social media.
Yeah, and I'm focusing on what's coming out in the
media,
Cut,
right?
New York Times, all this other bullshit.
Fair. I mean, obviously, they always have some sort of narrative to push against people of color in general, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that.
Real people,
because like even a couple months ago, there was like this interview that went really viral where someone went around in Japan asking women, because there's a trend in Japan where they don't think their husband sleeping with sex workers is cheating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that went like super viral. And they were like, that's crazy that Japan is like so far behind. What is happening to the women? What is the culture like in Japan that these women are being gaslit into believing that cheating is not cheating? Because there's so many women, they went up to so many women, they're like, yeah, no, if it's just sex, it's not cheating. It has to be emotional for it to be cheating.
But I think
because
I've heard that a lot in Korea too, though.
Yeah,
too. That's
what I'm saying.
That's
so
what I was about
I
to
don't
say.
think it's, from the media standpoint, sure, you know what I mean? But I think from a general public, I don't think it's just Korea. I think people are starting to share problematic things that just happen to go viral because
You think it's a global thing?
Because it's crazy. Because Korea is like that too. Korea does believe a very similar thing. Granted, they didn't have a video that went viral about it.
But I think
That's what happens when the South Koreans are ruled by the Japanese.
No, it's
crackers,
not
but,
just about males though. I hear when I was in Korea, like even back in the 90s, like a lot of married females would have affairs, and they would kind of
Korea?
In Korea, and they would say 애인이 없으면은 바보. I mean, if you don't have a lover besides your husband, then you're stupid. That was kind of trendy for a while too. So it's not just misogynistic. It's not just one way. There is the other narrative too.
Do you think Korean men are more misogynistic than, say, American white men?
I don't know comparatively, but equally at least, because from a systemic standpoint, the rules, like the laws, all point towards the fact that like women are not treated as people and men are protected.
Do we ever see things in the news like how white men are misogynistic? Well, now that I think about it, it's usually like Asian men or Korean guys are this way, or
they don't generalize as much, for sure.
I don't
of
really
course,
hear that
they're not
about,
going to
like,
talk about
white-
themselves that way.
But I think when Doug mentions about Asian men, I did read those kind of articles, and I've never seen like European male. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
like
it's-
German men.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, why out
Finnish
of all
men.
the country is it like South
Yeah.
Korea and Asia? And I think
White
that is
supremacy.
kind
They got
of-
real mad when I posted that 33% of the rapes in Seoul happened with 1% of the less than 1% of the white male population.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
33% of rapes in Seoul.
Yeah,
33%.
You mean like in Itaewon or in all of
all
Seoul?
of Seoul
33% of rape happens where?
from white men
From white men.
who make up less than 1% of the population there.
Yeah, but I mean that's why I think. But anyway, the
Out
ma-
of 20 million people, 20 million.
Some of these numbers, though, like where
I could see
just-
that
I can make
being-
numbers up too.
I could
I'm not
see-
saying you are.
No, because that's a lot of rape.
Asian men have the least amount of
Rape.
Rape per capita in America.
that I,
They
I
have
would
the
think.
least-
Yeah, but that's
Least amount
that
of rapes
number.
per capita, least amount of murders per
Murders.
capita, least amount of violent crimes in general per capita.
We're the least law breaking.
Yeah, but
people, right?
it's also-
But
Asian-
when it's WMAF, like white male, Asian female, the rapes go sky high.
so
in
the
terms
white
of
males
percentage.
commit rape over Asian female a lot.
Yeah, but that also has a lot to do with cultural impact because, like, a lot of Asian cultures, they really stigmatize rape victims. You know what I mean? Like in Korea, if you're a rape victim, you're a
Yeah, but
pariah.
if you're in
You
America,
can't get a job.
If you're a victim.
Yeah, if it's publicized that you're a rape victim, that's the reason why even in the Milyan case, the woman does not want to be
right? But
identified.
if you're in
Yeah.
America, you don't have those rules in place.
I-
No, but
So-
like from like a societal standpoint,
yeah,
that
but
stuff
these
follows
numbers,
over.
because-
these numbers are still from second generation on.
Yeah,
So-
but that's what I'm
so-
saying. I've like read a lot of stories where like the families, even though they immigrated to America, still villainized their daughter,
Even though she
their
was a victim herself, huh?
Yes, yes.
In Korea, probably you know how Korea is such a small country and dense, 50 million people crammed into that small nation. So that's why I think we have this shame culture going on. Like I think in America you don't have that term like 쪽팔려. You know what 쪽팔려 is? Well, if you have to translate it in English, it kind of means I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
Okay.
But that is probably the term I heard the most among my school years. Grade school, junior high, and high school. 쪽팔려. So you can't do anything that stands out, or because it's supposed to feel embarrassed. And I think
Right.
probably even the rape thing, even though you might be a victim yourself, they still consider it like a 창피, like a
Yeah,
very,
like
so
in
that's why
even
I
in that
think there's a
Milyan
stigma
case,
there.
when the victim came forward, the parents of the aggressors were like, "How dare you try to like shame our family?" And they turned it around, and the media backed them. They wrote articles about like these people are trying to like ruin this family's life and like.
I mean, that stuff exists in white culture too.
No, it
It's
does.
Not like
no, I know, no, but I'm saying because of that, it's not a comparative. It's because of that culture. There definitely is a higher chance that even in America they're
yeah,
less
but it
likely to
doesn't
come
explain
forward.
Because
the stigma happens even
like,
here.
These numbers are like huge differences. Like not just
Yeah,
something
but
that could
I
be
would question
explained
those
by a
numbers.
statistical
and
anomaly or
I
two.
think in Korea, if there's something like a negative happened to you, you don't you don't
No,
talk about it.
because you're
so that's the
ashamed.
culture.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
I'm saying.
here, I mean,
Because that happens here too.
yeah, but one of the biggest culture shock that I felt personally was, I had a friend in Oklahoma who came over. He had his girlfriend, and it was my first time meeting my friend's girlfriend, and she was talking about how she got raped in the campus. And in Korea, you can never imagine, even though you have like a 20-year-old friend, you have a 20-year relation, with your best buddy, you don't talk about those.
Okay, but even if I were to accept this
you know what I'm
premise,
saying?
right,
The
then
culture is
why-
so different.
Yeah, but
What's
even
that?
here, I bet you she didn't report it because I know plenty of women who have been essayed and have never reported it because
So you're
there's a
saying
shame
all
here
the people
too.
who have been raped by white men and reported it, they're just anomalies then? Because you, in theory, if everything you said was true, they would recognize that the white man has more power than them over in this country, and so they would be even less likely to report because they would be even more reprisals. Because if you're going against a white man in this white country with accusations of rape, that you're going to be even believed even less.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the reason why for that, but there also isn't the white family who is connected to your Asian family in a very small community in America.
Yeah, but there's the danger of like the white family being connected to a very powerful judge or
It could be. It could be.
So-
So you're saying that my friend's friend, I mean, even
But
though
there's
she
less.
could-
But there's
she
like
could-
less of a chance that your family, if you tell your parents, they're going to be like, no, we don't want to create ripple in the community.
I think that's just an overused excuse to explain away statistical information. That's
I don't-
overwhelming.
But it's not. I don't think it's overused because people use it as excuse. It's overused because it's reality.
it's reality, but it doesn't explain the entire statistical anomaly.
Okay, so white guys are rapists. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like we have so many stories about an Asian woman getting killed, raped, or whatever by their white boyfriend. It's
Yeah, but
just
that
like,
could also be because that's the only reason why it's being publicized. You know what I mean? We hear like 10% of what actually happens in the media. There's just a story I just literally read like 10 minutes ago before we started of an Asian man who just killed his whole family. So
Wow.
like in America, it happened, I think
an Asian man.
I literally took screenshots of it so I
Might be
can
Korean,
like,
huh?
tell the
Koreans
story.
used to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
mean
guy-
that is also a.
Yeah,
but
this
I don't know. Do you
Vietnamese
think
man
white people don't do that?
killed
too?
his whole family.
Kill their own
there's
family, right?
instances with
But
all
I do
races have
hear a
done
lot of
something like
because of
that.
the shame culture that Korean has. I think there was a story like 15 years ago where a dad didn't bring enough money to his family, but he was driving like a like a Mercedes Benz, and out of the blue he just killed every single family member. And I think but his daughter survived somehow, and she lived to talk about
Yeah,
the story.
he
I think you know
shot.
about this.
He was like a murder-suicide,
Yeah,
and he shot her
murder-suicide
too,
case.
but then she survived.
She survived.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it's because of the shame culture.
But at that time, there were several Korean families in SoCal that the father just killed everybody.
yeah, not just
Or even
on
set
that,
them all
yeah.
on fire in a van or something, or in an SUV.
So
Anyway,
it did kind of sound like a Korean thing for a while because of they felt shameful of how they couldn't realize their American dream, and they just you have these insane.
the
people
American dream.
yeah, I mean it's disappeared right now. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a sham.
But, yeah.
All right, so why don't we move on to something else for our last topic? You guys can pick. You want to talk about why Stop Asian Hate died, or 2, about a Vietnamese restaurant owner that refused to serve Israelis, or 3, U.S. soldier charged in Japan for rape of a minor, or 4, Oakland is dangerous for Asians, 30 elderly Asian residents robbed and beaten. So Stop Asian Hate, why did it die? Vietnamese owner who turns away Israelis, U.S. soldier rape. All right, let me throw a dart.
What was
All right, Vietnamese restaurant owner refuses to serve Israelis. Did you guys see this on social media?
Where was it in Vietnam?
That's Vietnam.
It looked like either the train track. Isn't that Hanoi?
I'm not sure where it was exactly.
But anyway, there's a video. Let's see here.
Because most communist
Yes. Oh, okay. We'll be done soon. So
because most communist countries would align themselves with Palestine, right?
Yeah.
No, right?
well, most capitalist countries are too,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
Vietnam does recognize Israel, the state of Israel,
Okay.
So here
but
we.
it is obviously for a two-state solution.
So here we go. Here.
Myself out. Don't sit there. Why? Just myself. I'm not accept what your country people here. No. I know. I don't welcome. Oh, you You kicking out my wife and kids?
We Koreatown. We just welcome the human, animal, even dog and cat only.
Anything else? Anything else you want to
We
say?
just welcome human and dog and cat only.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Am I considered a human for being Jewish? Am I considered a human?
Go.
Go, go, go.
You go. What do you say?
Tell me that Israel's sending bombs. Careful your kids, because Israel's gonna send a bomb.
Oh, should we run away now?
You should keep walking.
Those bombs are coming.
So he's, first I thought, even if you are, pro-Palestinian, that's kind of, I don't know if that's necessary, but as it turns out, they weren't even customers there.
Oh, okay.
And they saw like a Palestine flag, and then they started
Doing something on it.
and then they were sitting there. Let's see. The proprietor said he was not serving them because he supports Palestine. If the family also opposed Israel's genocide, they could have disavowed and expressed support for Palestinian liberation and gotten a coffee. But the family didn't disavow the genocide. They didn't accept the explanation of the proprietor that this was about Palestinian freedom. And blah, blah, blah. Supposedly the cameraman set the whole thing up by antagonizing the shop owners to begin with. So if you go to their Instagram, you see lots of videos of this family
Antagonizing people?
in Vietnam, like saying, hey, you're not cutting the hair according to like Jewish rules or something, like stuff like that. I did check out the Instagram. The father seems kind of annoying.
They're like the typical Zionists who look for anti-Semitism to be like, oh, look, they're anti-Semitic.
So they're instigators. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you're saying.
That's been happening a lot in Vietnam, actually.
Oh, in Vietnam?
Yeah, there was even this like one American guy who went there, and he was purposefully misinterpreting what they were saying to make it seem like they were talking shit about him.
Yeah.
And then obviously Vietnamese people got a hold of it because they were like, what the fuck is this? That's not what he even said.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are for some reason going to not even just Vietnam, but there has been a bunch of Vietnam recently, but just Asia in general to make these like
Or
rage
Asian
baity.
people. There was this black woman recently who posted this fake video of like Vietnam nail techs.
Yeah.
And then had this Chinese translation as if like, oh, like they're being racist.
And it was
towards her.
clearly her translating English to Chinese.
Yeah.
Because we all know how translation apps work as Asian people because we use them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it was even like, because I remember watching that video and being like, but that's in Chinese. Is like, and they're speaking Vietnamese. So it's like, this already is fake. So then people even called her out for it. My friend Sujie made a video, got like millions of views, and they were she didn't even delete it. She was just like, just being defensive, being like, it still happens though. It's like, but didn't happen to you.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just liberal bullshit. Just identity politics in general.
Right. So anyway, our next guest is
Yeah.
here, so I think we have to
Wrap it up.
Gotta
wrap it up. Yeah, by the way, our next guest is, stay tuned for our next episode. We're bringing in
Wow, that's bold.
Nathan Hockman, who's running for a district attorney, LA County District Attorney. He's an independent prosecutor for change. And he says, as a former federal prosecutor, U.S. Assistant Attorney General, and LA Ethics Commission President, I'll be ready on day one to remove politics from prosecutorial decisions and restore independence, honesty, and integrity to prevent crime, protect public safety, and ensure justice is served to all LA County residents.
Yeah,
so he'll be going up against Gascon, this guy here. And,
He was the one on the left, not the right.
He's the election is November 5th. Oh, he went to Brown University and Stanford
Ivy
Law
Leaguer.
School. Born in Los Angeles, Jewish attorney. And we'll talk to him next time. So stay tuned for the next episode of Ktown Social Club. We'll be back with Nathan Hockman. Thanks to Ed Choi, Michael Wan, and Douglas Kim. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Smile, Doug. With the intro?
The Zionist stuff.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. I didn't talk about any of that.